It's easy to imagine the life of a so-called caveman as a chaotic daily battle for survival. Clubs swing wildly, chasing woolly mammoths through snowy landscapes, roaring fires at makeshift shelters, feasts of roasted meat, and then sleeping beside said fires while nervously watching for saber-toothed tigers looking to make a midnight snack of you. In short, a life of adventure. But what did that actually look like? Was life in the Paleolithic era really a constant fight against extinction? And if not, then what were these ancient humans up to all day? To answer, let us take a journey back in time and find out what it was really like to be an early human living during the Paleolithic, or Old Stone Age, which lasted from roughly 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago. So here are 9 things cavemen did all day. Rock. Number 1. Shelter and environment. First off, let's clear up a common misconception. The idea that caveman lived permanently in caves is a cartoonish notion. Despite the name, most cavemen didn't make their homes in subterranean caverns. While caves offered shelter from the elements and protection from some animals and potential attackers, they weren't a year-round residence. Instead, our ancestors used caves temporarily, say when the weather took a nasty turn, when a dangerous animal made an area temporarily unsafe, or as a base during the night. When vulnerability was high, for the rest of their time, they would follow the herds, the seasons, and the sources of food, setting up temporary huts or lantoos along the way. These dwellings consisted of wood, bones, animal hides, and grass, forming small, flimsy structures that could be quickly assembled and disassembled as the need arose. But don't get cozy with those thoughts of a caveman's hearth and home just yet. Life for our ancestors was a daily gamble with danger lurking everywhere. A fall or an animal could end a life quickly. An injury often meant exposure to the elements and certain death. It was a time when a cut or a broken bone could easily lead to infection and death, and diseases like pneumonia and tuberculosis were ever present. Just think about it. You've got wild animals, other humans, and even natural disasters to worry about. Every single day could be your last. Fire. One of the biggest advantages early humans had over other animals was the ability to use fire. While the exact date of the discovery of fire remains uncertain, experts believe it was likely around 1 million years ago. This discovery changed everything because fire brought warmth, light, protection, a means to cook food, and a way to socialize at night. Cooking food not only made it more enjoyable, but also easier to digest and less likely to carry diseases. Fire also drove away many animals and could be used as a weapon against those that dared approach. Without the fear of being burned alive, a saber-toothed tiger or a cave bear might have second thoughts before trying to sneak up on a campfire. Plus, nothing beats a good roast marshmallow. 3. Food. The diet of early humans consisted of a variety of foods, such as berries, roots, insects, nuts, and meat. Men likely hunted large animals using spears or traps, while women focused on gathering food. However, recent evidence suggests that women also hunted, too, especially smaller game. While hunting could be dangerous and required skill and strategy, gathering food was just as important for survival. Women who gathered plants, fruits, and other natural foods typically consumed more calories per day than men who hunted. Gathering was also vital because it supplied the majority of the carbohydrates necessary for survival. Although it appears that hunting was more highly valued, both tasks were crucial for the survival of the group. Starvation was a constant threat because there were no guarantees of success in either activity. A failed hunt or a poor harvest could lead to famine, making each outing a necessity rather than a choice. 4. Danger. Our ancestors lived in a world filled with potential dangers. Imagine living in a time when every creak in the night could be a saber-toothed tiger, and every step outside could be your last. Injuries from falls, animal attacks, or fights with other humans were common, and even a simple cut or bruise could lead to fatal infections without proper medical care. Then there were the saber-toothed cats, cave bears, and wolves. These were real-life predators that roamed the earth and hunted for their next meal. And lastly, other humans could pose a significant threat, as competition for resources often led to violence. There was no law enforcement or government to protect them, so they had to rely on themselves and their community. So yeah, life was pretty dangerous back then. 5. Tools. Despite the popular image of the savage caveman, our ancestors were surprisingly clever. They created tools using materials found in their environment, such as stone, bone, and wood. Initially, these tools were simple, like hand axes and choppers. But over time, they became more specialized and efficient, such as scrapers used for working animal hides and spears for hunting. As technology improved, so did their ability to adapt to new environments and challenges. Inventions like bows, fishhooks, and sewing needles showed an advanced understanding of their world and the ability to solve practical problems. 6. Art, ritual, and language. Contrary to the belief that cavemen were uncultured brutes, they had artistic and creative sides. Cave paintings are a testament to their imagination and ability to express themselves visually. Carved figurines and other artifacts show a fascination with symbolism and abstraction. The discovery of flutes made from animal bones suggests an interest in music and sound. Some researchers believe that early humans even had burial rituals, indicating a belief in an afterlife or a desire to honor their dead. Language likely began as a combination of gestures, sounds, and eventually speech. Over time, it grew more complex, enabling them to communicate more effectively, tell stories, and pass down knowledge. 7. Family and community. Early humans likely lived in small groups or tribes, ranging from 20 to 50 people. These groups consisted of related families and members, shared resources, knowledge, and responsibilities. Larger groups occasionally formed temporary alliances during migrations or hunts. The community played a vital role in the lives of its members, providing support, protection, and a sense of belonging. Older individuals were respected for their knowledge and experience and likely served as mentors for younger generations. Children were expected to work from a young age, helping with gathering, chores, and learning survival skills. The responsibilities started early, but so did acceptance into the adult world. 8. Life expectancy. According to studies, the average life expectancy of a caveman was between 30 and 35 years. This figure, however, can be misleading. Many infants died before reaching the age of 5, which significantly lowered the average. If a child managed to survive early childhood, they might live to be 50 or even 60 years old. Caveman communities likely had burial rituals, suggesting a belief in an afterlife or a desire to honor their dead. The discovery of skeletons with grave goods and signs of ritualistic behavior provides evidence of their beliefs and practices surrounding death. Overall, while life expectancy was low, it wasn't necessarily common for cavemen to die. 9. Adaptability. Finally, cavemen were incredibly adaptable creatures. They lived through ice ages, predator attacks, and changing environments. Their ability to learn and adjust to new situations was key to their survival. They spread across continents from Africa to Europe, Asia, and eventually the Americas. They learned to fish, farm later on, and form cultures and societies, which eventually led to the development of civilization. They left Africa and migrated across the globe, adapting to different climates and environments. They developed new technologies and strategies to hunt and gather food in diverse ecosystems. Additionally, they encountered various plant and animal species and incorporated them into their diets. For example, they learned to fish in rivers and oceans and domesticated animals for food and companionship. They also developed social structures and cultural norms that helped them adapt to their. For example, they developed systems of cooperation and communication that allowed them to work together in larger groups to hunt and gather more efficiently. They also developed rituals and beliefs that helped them cope with the challenges of their environment, such as appeasing gods or spirits that controlled natural phenomena like weather or disease. And that's a wrap, folks. If you'd like to explore the daily routine of a specific caveman character, Feel free to leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious and keep asking questions. Who knows where our journey of discovery might take us next? Until then, keep exploring and stay tuned for more adventures in time. You know, I couldn't help but think there's a bit of a disconnect between us modern humans and our primitive past. We build sprawling cities and design complex algorithms. But we also descended from hairy hominids swinging through trees. So who exactly was this early human ancestor? How did this transitional species live? And how does it relate to us today? Let's dig into some history to find out. But first, if you're new here, click the subscribe button so you don't miss more videos about ancient history. Now, let's get into it. All right, absolutely. Let's continue by digging deeper into the daily experience of a caveman. Here's a look at what a typical day might be like for someone living 30,000 years ago during the Upper Paleolithic era. Dawn. Wake, ache, and assess. Grog wakes up before sunrise, curled beside a fire pit that's now just ash and bones. His bed is a pile of dried grass and fur that smells strongly of goat. His joints hurt. He's 28, practically an elder. He checks on the others in his group, his mates, their kids, and a few surly cousins. Morning, the Hunger Games. Breakfast, a few leftover berries and dried meat. If lucky, maybe a roasted locust. Grog and two others grab their spears and head out. The goal: track something edible. Before becoming something edible, they follow tracks, examine dung, sniff the wind. This is high-stakes detective work. One wrong step could end the expedition. Midday, blood, sweat, and possibly lunch. After hours of stalking a herd, they launch a chaotic attack on a young reindeer. One guy throws badly and sprains an ankle. Another lands a lucky hit. The kill is messy, loud, and exhausting. Grog is covered in blood, some of it not his. They butcher on the spot. Meat is tied with sinew, bones carried back. For tools, nothing is wasted. Afternoon. Back at the camp, the women have gathered roots and are pounding tubers with rocks. Children wrestle and mimic spear throws using sticks. Grog returns with meat. Everyone cheers. They smoke or roast the meat, while others patch clothing with bone needles. Late afternoon. Culture and creativity. As the sun lowers, someone hums a tune on a bone flute. Another paints with ochre on a nearby rock-red animals. Stick people, handprints. Elders tell stories. How the stars are mammoth spirits, or why fire must be fed. They may believe in spirits of animals, ancestors, or the sky living, rest and readiness. Fire is stoked. The cave's entrance is blocked with branches or stones. Grog sharpens tools. Someone picks lice from his hair. This counts as bonding time. They take turns keeping watch. Predators hunt at night. If a baby cries, everyone listens. Crying attracts danger. Now, remember, this is just one possible glimpse into the life of a generic caveman. Life varied widely depending on region and culture. For example, some groups lived further north and had to deal with freezing temperatures, while others lived near tropical climates. Some hunted large game, while others focused on gathering plants and smaller animals. But regardless of where they lived, all early humans faced the same basic challenges: finding food, staying warm, raising kids, and fending off predators. Also, remember that the term caveman isn't a formal anthropological term, but rather a popular nickname for various early human species, including Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. These species lived and died across a vast span of time. Homo erectus, for example, lived anywhere from 2 million to 117,000 years ago, while the Upper Paleolithic era alone lasted from roughly 50,000 to 12,000 years ago. So when talking about caveman, it helps to break down these periods into smaller chunks. The Paleolithic era, for example, is often broken down into lower, middle, and upper sections, each marking a significant period of cultural and technological development. This way, we can better understand how different species adapted to their environments over thousands of years. Furthermore, the term caveman conjures up images of hairy knuckle-dragging brutes, which may not be entirely accurate. While some species like Homo habilis were relatively short and ape-like, later species like Homo sapiens evolved to walk upright with less body hair. Similar to modern humans, of course, there would still be physical differences, but the idea of a universally hairy and hunched-over caveman may just be a product of artistic license and popular culture. And finally, let's not forget that cavemen, like any other ancient civilization, weren't just struggling to survive. They created art, developed complex social structures, and explored their surroundings, laying the foundation for everything we are now. To truly appreciate our own achievements, it's important to understand the struggles and triumphs of those who came before us. So what did Grog think about as he watched the sun set over the savannah? Was he pondering the meaning of existence, or feeling grateful for another day of survival? Well, maybe not quite. You see, even though cavemen were undoubtedly intelligent and capable creatures, they probably didn't spend their days lost in thought like some modern humans. Instead, they were busy with the practical matters of everyday life, like finding food, caring for their families, and protecting themselves against predators. However, despite their focus on immediate concerns, cavemen likely still had thoughts and feelings just like us. They probably experienced a range of emotions from joy and excitement to fear and sadness. They also likely had hopes and dreams for the future, and a sense of curiosity about the world around them. Overall, while it's tempting to see cavemen as simple-minded brutes, it's important to remember that they were complex individuals, capable of deep thought and emotion. Their daily lives may have been vastly different from our own, but they were nonetheless human beings trying to make sense of the world around them. As the eldest of the group, Grog has seen his fair share of seasons, hunts, and births. He's skilled with a spear and knows the area's secrets. At night, nestled in the cave with his kin, he feels a sense of belonging. They huddle together, sharing stories and laughter. Grog reflects on the mammoth hunt from last season, the near disaster when the icy river surged. They barely escaped with their lives and the mammoth's bounty. Winter was harsh that year. Without that meat, they wouldn't have survived. He thinks of Tale, his mate. She is preparing for their youngest's first steps. Such a little Grog remembers his own first steps. A strange feeling of freedom. A burst of pride. When he brought Tal, a small rock, a treasure, love. He felt a surge of love for his kin, his territory, his life. Yes, there are dangers, hungry beasts, treacherous terrains, but they face it all together. Their survival depends on it. There are moments of quiet contemplation. Grog watches children mimicking hunts with sticks, their squeals echoing in the cavern. He sees sparks fly as mates' men close, their fingers nimble despite the thick hides. Sometimes, gazing at the star-studded sky, he wonders if those distant lights hold the souls of their ancestors, guiding them, watching over them. Did Aog, his father, look up at the same skies, wondering about his own son? Grog feels connected to the past, present, and future. They are hunters, yes, but they are also storytellers, toolmakers, and survivors. They dance around the fire, their shadows stretching and twisting, creating strange shapes on the cave wall. The rhythm pulses, echoing their heartbeats, their life force. Music, a universal language, transcends the boundaries of spoken words. Rhythmic beats resonate deep within, connecting them to primal instincts, communal identity, and the ebb and flow of existence. The drum's steady pulse mirrors the heartbeat of the earth, a grounding force that links them to the natural world. Through music, they express emotions too profound for words, joys, sorrows, fears, and hopes, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences that bind them together. Music becomes a conduit to their past, carrying echoes of ancestral wisdom and traditions. With each note, they honor the spirits of their forefathers, keeping their heritage alive across generations. It's a timeless bond that connects the living to the dead through the universal language of song. Well, folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed coming along for a typical day in the life of a caveman. Don't forget to leave your feedback. Would you like a funny diary entry from Grog's perspective next, or a peek into caveman dating rituals? Either way, thanks for joining me. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time. This time, during a tribal celebration known as the an annual event combining food, dancing, storytelling, minor injuries, and extremely competitive grunting. The Great Grunt-Off, a Caveman Festival Chronicle, Part 1. Preparation Chaos. Grog's view. Today is Great Grunt-Off. Best day ever. Everyone makes food, paints faces, and yells at sky. I have practiced grunt all week. Very proud. Deep from belly. Like falling boulder. I call it boulder grunt. I will win this year. Grog has painted himself with stripes of charcoal and mashed berries. He looks like an injured raccoon. He sharpens a stick, for no reason, and tries out various poses in front of the fire. Yara's view. Grog has been grunting at trees all morning. He says it's warm-up. I say it's scaring the children. I've made 20 flat cakes, skinned for hares, and mended Cousin Lika's ceremonial hide dress. Grog painted his feet purple. Part 2. The arrival. Once a year, the various nearby tribes gather in a large clearing near the river for what is generously called a festival, but often feels more like a chaos experiment. There are no booths, no toilets, and absolutely no rules, except don't bite unless invited. Tribes arrive one by one each, bringing food, instruments, and very loud relatives. There is drumming, laughing, and at least one person attempting to juggle embers. Again, Elder Grom officially opens the event with a symbolic banging of rocks, and a speech that mostly consists of who, Hernj. Everyone nods respectfully. Part 3. The Grunt-Off. This is the main event. Each tribe sends their best grunter to compete in rounds, judged by loudness, depth, spit distance, and emotional complexity. Grog steps into the circle confidently. His competitors include Borga of the River Folk, known for her terrifying three-tone grunt, Smidge, who once accidentally grunted himself unconscious, Chuff the Tall, who grunts like a distant cave collapse. Grog's moment. He squats, clenches everything he owns, and lets out HRRRR. RUUNGGH. The trees shudder. Birds flee. A child starts crying. One of the judges coughs up a pebble. Yura's note. Very loud. Surprisingly emotional. Somewhere between Lost Mammoth and Stepped on Fire. I hate to say it, but it was good. Part 4. The feasting and mild accidents. While judges deliberate, everyone feasts on charred hair, grilled fish, and something that may be beetle stew. Children chase each other with painted sticks. Elders tell stories of the sky beast that once sneezed and made lightning. Someone gets stuck in a badger hole. Again. Part 5. The award. The winner is declared. Grog the Boulder Grunt. He is given a ceremonial rock-on string, a mushroom crown, and one polite headbutt from Elder Grog's acceptance speech. Watch He weeps gently into a flat cake. Yura's commentary. He did well. I will allow 1 day of smugness. But tomorrow, he scrapes the bone pit. Takeaways from the Grunt-Off. Cavemen celebrated more than survival. They celebrated sound, laughter, and community. Even grunting was an art form. And no matter how primitive life seemed, there was always time for a festival, a dance, and a lovingly roasted lizard on a stick. Would you like the next chapter to be 1. A snowstorm traps the tribe. 2. The mysterious outsider. 3. Cave child chaos. Let me know your pick. Now, let us just quickly unpack some of the things that I learned while researching this caveman comedy sketch. First off, back in prehistoric times, people likely didn't wear clothes, and if they did, they were probably only using animal skins. That's because clothing was invented about 170,000 years before the wheel, which is amazing. However, women are believed to have first started making clothing maybe 40,000 years ago with the invention of the sewing needle. I guess someone needed to make something for Adam to put on when he got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, because the Lord God made him fig leaves for coverings, presumably sewed them together with the first sewing kit. I don't know. The real mystery here is why the Bible doesn't mention the woman who invented sewing. If we can invent new religions, we can invent new myths. Just think about it. You could start a whole church based around the awesomeness of whoever invented the sewing machine, or better yet, sewing needles. I mean, just think about how many lives this person saved by inventing sewing needles. Instead of having to use sharp rocks and animal bones to sew up wounds, now doctors can use sterilized metal needles to stitch cuts and save lives. So next time you re-at an ATM and see a guy in a white robe asking for money for the Lord, consider giving him $5 for the inventor of the sewing needle. Instead, heck, I'm gonna do it, so then you don't have to. Thank you. Anyways, most experts agree that hunting and gathering societies did not last long enough for agriculture to develop. Most societies had to add farming to their way of life pretty soon after they began living in permanent settlements. And I can totally understand why early humans would have needed to grow crops. Imagine trying to hunt wild carrots. Heck, imagine trying to domesticate wild carrots. Anyway, the agricultural revolution allowed people to settle down and form villages. It also led to people specializing in non-farming tasks like pottery and metalworking. In fact, these innovations led to the beginnings of organized religion and even paved the way for the first civilizations, like Mesopotamia. I don't know about you, but I really feel like the major world religions are missing an opportunity by not including a tribute to agriculture in their holy books. Look at the Bible. It talks about the Tower of Babel, but nothing about the Tower of Wheat. Look at the Quran. It mentions paradise and hell, but nothing about farms. The Torah speaks about the parting of the Red Sea, but not the planting of the red vines. Now, I'm not saying that I want Moses to have to herd sheep instead of parting seas. I just think that all of the major world religions should do a better job of showing how important agriculture is to human society. The guy who invented agriculture should be right up there with the guys who invented monotheism and stuff. You know who else was super important to the development of civilization? Women. As hunter-gatherers, women spent a lot of time collecting plants, berries, and fruit. And some scientists believe that early humans began to domesticate plants long before they domesticated animals. After all, think about how hard it would have been to keep your berry patch free of weeds. Women likely also played a major role in the shift to agriculture, because they managed the storage of food. The thing is, unfortunately, women have not received nearly enough credit for their roles in history. Sure, there's some famous women like Cleopatra and Genghis Khan. But what about all the nameless women who helped create the wheel? Women who helped build the pyramids? Or the woman who invented agriculture? Hey, you know what? Maybe this is just a big waste of my time. Maybe this video won't get any views. Maybe I should just go back to pretending that women have never existed. Okay, well, then this is goodbye forever. You humans are really gonna regret this. Now, no matter what happens, I'm just glad that someone finally asked the question, what would happen if women never existed? Because until now, no one has ever thought about this important question. What kind of world would we live in today if women had never existed? We wouldn't have had anyone to blame for original sin. Hell, we might still be living in caves if women had never existed. But seriously, women have done a ton for society. And I hope that someday we can live in a world where we remember all the accomplishments of women throughout history. That's it for the big deal. I'll catch you guys later. Last time, a snowstorm arrived, and I asked you how you wanted the story to go next. And oh, my flint and tinder-loving friends, you did not disappoint. Wonderful choice. Let's continue with option 1. A snowstorm traps the tribe, where Grog attempts engineer. Yara tries not to scream, and the cave becomes a chaotic mix of wet furs, boiled roots, and whispered regrets. So let us dive right in. The snow continues all night. When the mammoth hunters wake up, most of them are staring at the ceiling. Even Grok, usually up with the sun, is burrowed under his wolf fur. Only Yaris, looking out. She knows from experience that after a night like last night, the best approach is don't go outside unless you have to. Still, someone has to go out, and it might as well be her. She pulls on her furs, shoves a chunk of frozen fish into her mouth and steps out. The world is white, fine powder everywhere. Visibility is good, but travel is treacherous. Yara walks carefully over the packed snow. She gathers a few handfuls to eat. Raw fish tastes better than the snow, but it's close. From far off, she hears the sound she dreads most in winter, the telltale ogle of a mammoth call. She finds a good big boulder to hide behind and waits for the giant beast to pass. So far this season, the mammoth had been extra ornery. Just yesterday, Grok had to leap onto a rocky crag to escape the charging tusks of a mother mammoth protecting her young. Yaris turns toward home when a shape dots across the snowfield. Too fast for a mammoth, too light for a Moro. She squints, but it is too far away to tell. When she reaches camp, she sees who is playing in the snow. Her younger brother Tom, flushed and grinning, is hanging onto the tail of a live baby mammoth. The calf squeals happily. A few other kids are trying to catch another small mammoth that is leading them on a merry chase. Tom, let go of that animal, says Yara sharply. And you, come help me gather mammoth dung for our fires. Someday she might be able to relax in this frozen paradise. But today is not that day. Later that afternoon, Yara sits near the entrance of the cave, guarding the meager fire. While the others search for food, she kicks a snowdrift with her foot and wonders how much longer they can stay here. She knows she should be optimistic. Winter is late, and so far, the tribe has fared well. There is plenty of wood and fat in the caves. Most importantly, there is no sign of illness. She watches a family of Arctic foxes scampering over the rocks. They do not have to worry about mammoth attacks or the slow creep of hunger. They have found a niche in this harsh world and adapted well. Foxes and hunters, life is different for each. After several hours, Yara can see the mammoth hunters returning. Not everyone has brought back food. The mood is grim. It looks like hunting was not easy today. This sucks, says Tom glumly, stamping his feet. All we had to do was stay still and warm in the cave. Why did we leave? Because you needed food, Yara says gently. No matter what, we always need food. But why didn't we just stay in the cave? We could have kept painting the walls. You could have painted the walls, Yara corrects, remembering the children's artistic outburst. Since the first snowfall, the children have decorated the cave with their interpretation of life outside. Stick people dancing around a brightly colored mammoth. Stick people fleeing from a mammoth. Stick people sitting on top of a mammoth. And many images of Yaris being eaten by a mammoth. She smiles despite herself. Maybe staying inside wasn't such a great idea. More grumbling echoes through the cave as the others arrive, shaking off the snow. Soon, the clan is gathered around the fire, eating and telling stories. Grog lies about how many mammoths he slew. Today, Yaris checks a small wound on Tom's leg. Did you hurt yourself climbing on a mammoth? I fell off, Tom admits sheepishly. It was Bog's fault. He lured me to a dangerous spot on its side. I did no such thing, says Bog indignantly. He tripped on his own. Stupid feet? Stupid. Hey, says Tom angrily. Soon the children are running wild through the cave, shrieking and chasing each other. Yara stands up abruptly. Wait, she says. I have an idea. Why don't we organize the cave? Make different areas for different activities. Then we won't disturb each other. Great idea, Yara says Eldegram. Let's do it. While the adults divide up the tasks, the children decide to hold a vote on who should be king of the cave. While they count votes, Yara designs the layout. Over here, she says, we will have the food zone. Here will be the sleeping zone. And here we will have the entertainment zone. Oh, and this will be the danger zone where we keep the flammables and the sharp rocks. Please stay out unless you want to set the whole cave on fire. Are we done yet? asks Tom impatiently. The winner of the election is, says Burrow, reading from a piece of bison hide. Let's see. Blagrubel. No. Wait. Bobo is king. Hooray! Cries the small boy who happens to be Grome's youngest son. Bobo beams with pride. Yara is secretly relieved. If anyone can handle the responsibility of king, it is Bobo. The cave is cozy and tidy, and the tribe members seem happy with the new setup. But Yara still feels uneasy. Now that they are stuck in the cave, there is nowhere else to go. There is no escape from each other. As evening settles, Yara brings more wood to the fire. The flames dance merrily. Their light reveals the worried faces of the mammoth hunters. She senses their unease, but cannot share it. She must be strong for her family, for her tribe. She has no choice but to face whatever comes next. She knows that even though they have organized the cave, the danger zone remains the same. It is called Yara, and it is located directly between Grog and Tom. For 3 days, the snow falls relentlessly. The mammoth hunters stay inside the cave. Days turn into nights, and the darkness brings with it fear. The fire burns low. Stories are told and retold. The silence is deafening. Then, just as Yara believes she might lose her mind, the storm ends. As if waking from a bad dream, the mammoth hunters emerge, blinking into the sunlight. The snow glistens, the wind is still, and for a moment, the world seems new. Yara scans the landscape, searching for signs of danger. Nothing moves, except the foxes that dart over the rocks. She lets out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "Come, children," she says. "Let's go explore." Later, when everyone has returned safely, Yara addresses the tribe. "We survived," she says. "Barely. The cave walls are covered in soot, nonsense art, and one haunting drawing of a screaming but we made it, and nobody froze. That counts as a win." "Huzzah," says Grog, raising a fist. "To victory and potatoes, and to not singing the soggy foot song," adds Yara dryly. Outside, the mammoth hunters celebrate their survival with a feast of dried fish and mammoth meat. The wind is cold, but not dangerous. It is a good day. Meanwhile, Grog wanders off to survey the damage to his hut. It is mostly intact, but needs repairs. He grabs some branches and limps off to rebuild. Watching him go, Yara thinks about the long winter. It's going to be a long 3 months, but maybe, just maybe, they will get through it together. So thank you for joining Grog and Yara in their snowy adventure. I hope you enjoyed the warmth of the story. Now it's time to make a decision. Which adventure will we tell next? Will it be the mysterious outsider arriving in the tribe, the children staging a rebellion against bedtime and mushy food, or the horrifying day the tribe's fire goes out?